So people oftentimes wonder, how do we take this big idea of doing our work with God and for God? What does that even look like? Well, for me, it includes moments when I ask God questions. So for example, recently we had sales guidance that was below what we were budgeting, and we had a revenue crisis. In that moment, I said, Lord, what attitude would you have me have right now? When a sales executive comes in and she says, I've got a bigger offer with a competitor, I can ask the Lord the question, Lord, how would you have me respond? You know, there's times, for example, when a friend of mine has a father who's in surgery and may not come out, I can ask the question, Lord, how can I encourage this person? I find asking God questions sometimes brings impressions. Sometimes I get ideas of what to say or how to respond. Maybe a verse comes to mind, or I get an impression that I know is from Him, but sometimes I don't. But the Christian life is largely a shift in question. When we begin to ask different questions, it begins to help us. I was discipling a young, it was a CEO of a software company, and he asked me to really speak truthfully to him about how he can grow in his relationship with Christ. And he told me, we met in week 1, and I really enjoyed the time with him. He mentioned he had just bought a new BMW motorcycle. The second week, he mentioned he had just bought a new speedboat. And, you know, I was encouraging, and we focused on the Lord. And then in our third week, he mentioned that he had bought a new track designed Corvette, probably $125,000 Corvette, something in that neighborhood. And so I just felt prompted. I just said, so let's call his name John. So John, how did Jesus lead you to buy that Corvette? And it was really like a hand grenade. It was just into his thinking. You know, he never thought of actually asking God for leadership in that. It never occurred to him. But when we say the name Lord, what we really mean is we want Him to lead. And if we have Him leading, asking questions of Him throughout the day is a big part of mine. Another area for me is setting expectations. God gives us promises of what He will be for us and what He will do for us. And He wants us to expect that we will do those things. We don't know what life will bring. We can't define that, but we can expect God to always be what He promises for us and always do. So for example, when I go in the boardroom, sometimes in just a moment, I'll say, Lord, thank you that you are here. And I just shift my expectation as He promises in Psalm 139 that He is there. Or perhaps I'm in the middle of a budget meeting and we run into a thorny issue, and I'll just say, Lord, thank you that you'll give me wisdom because I ask it now. Because you promise it in James 1:6. If any man lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all men generously and without reproach, and it will be given to him. I can expect to have wisdom because He promises that if I ask for it. Oh, I can expect a lot of things. I can expect Him to be generous, to give me all the strength that I need. But what I do is I try and just review those expectations. I have to kind of reset and restate those expectations, and that changes everything. Another thing for me is a simple idea that and this happens in 5-second bursts throughout the day. These aren't long talks with God, but I find that my words lead my heart. So for example, I had a big conflict recently, and just wasn't sure where this was going to end up. It was with a partner, and I just paused and said, Lord, thank you for what you're going to do in this circumstance. And that didn't make everything easier. That didn't make everything easy, but it did make it easier. My words lead my heart. Lord, give me more of you. Lord, draw me to you. Lord, thank you that you've allowed this. Thank you that your plans are brilliant. These are just little statements that we can say throughout the day, but when we say them, our heart is drawn behind them. I think that's the whole gist of the Psalms, is teaching us to have our words lead our heart so that we grow in our love and loyalty for Him. So those are some of the ways practically that I experience God as I go about my work.